Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and I have a 1-year-old son. I started this podcast for any mother who might feel alone in their journey through motherhood. Becoming a mom is hard no matter how you get there, and this podcast is about the mom stuff that comes up in our lives. Listen, enjoy, and connect with us on the Mommy Escape Time podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and it is, today I am recording on January 27th, a few hours before this podcast is meant to go up. I don't normally ever wait this long to put up a podcast or record it, but this week has just been so, this month has just been so different. So let's start. First of all, intro, still not perfect. Got to work on that. My son is 2, not 1 anymore. If this is your first time listening, hopefully in 2021, I'll have time to work on that. I do think I will. It is one of my priorities. If this is the first time that you are here, I am Lauren, your host, and sometimes I have guests on. Right now I don't, because I am a teacher and I am on Google Meets all day long. And I actually got information today, the one class where I didn't have a remote student, I now have a remote student. So now from 7:30 to 2 o'clock, I am in a Google Meet 100% of the time. So I cannot add additional time to record with someone, because to record you you go on Skype because that's still a thing. But yeah, you go on Skype or do a FaceTime and record it that way. And I just can't do it. I can't. The amount of screens that I am on a day, I can't do it. And a lot of my friends are teachers or also do jobs now that are 100% online. So it's just not a possibility right now. So right now you're with me. Pretty much I do about 5 mini topics, 5 things that have come up in the past couple of weeks in my life. And I kind of talk about them so that we can have a conversation. It's really me just talking and you're just listening, but it's supposed to be like you and I are talking. Currently I am sitting on my bed, which I don't normally record up here, so it might be a little more echoey than I had anticipated, but hopefully not too bad. The reason that I waited so long to record this episode was, normally in podcasting, the news doesn't really affect you as much, but it does now ever since COVID. The news does affect you pre-recording podcasts, and it's not always possible. So I didn't want to record some happy upbeat message and have something horrible have happened the day of the inauguration or the days after or things like that. So I was trying to be sensitive to that ahead of time, and I was so afraid to record something because I don't know, everything just seems so unpredictable. You just never knew what was going to happen. So that's why it took me so long to record. My shows are now every other week. Unfortunately, now that I am doing so much online learning, there's so much stuff, extra stuff that I have to do, that life gets a little complicated. So let's start with talking about my son, because, we're here because we're parents. My son is 2.5 years old. He'll be 3 at the end of April. And when he came back to daycare, I take him out of daycare for Christmas break. After he came back from daycare, they moved him up to the preschool room. And I thought they were going to move him the end of January, beginning of February, maybe even March. But no, they started him in January. And I am sort of for it, but really not for it. It's a very complicated situation. Every child is different. My child has very high strengths and very low deficiencies in some area. And they're not necessarily low deficiencies, but because he is so much taller and he is more verbal, sometimes it is confusing to figure out what age he is. He struggles a lot, with fine motor stuff still, with eating with a fork and a spoon and things like that. Like that does not, if he is not interested in something, he is not doing it, which concerns me as a teacher, but I guess it's pretty common as a parent to have your child go through things like that. But so he has started in the pre-K room, and he is learning a lot, I will say that. And he, every month they have a new topic, and of course the first month was dinosaurs, which is his favorite, so that's great. However, he's being pushed, and that is the one thing I did not want my son to be. It's fine eventually to push him to try and be more independent and things like that. I see what parents do when they're older pushing the kids, and how much pressure the kids put on themselves when they are pushed. So I don't try and push him. So this is definitely outside my comfort zone because I think he's being pushed a little too much. We've actually scaled back how much he gets pushed at daycare. I've had to set a few boundaries about some of the stuff. I just, he's not ready for some stuff, and he just, like, it's okay if he can't write his name. He's 2.5 years old. Like, it's okay just because the other kids can. They're 4.5. So two of them are 5. My son does not need to do that. So that has been our start. And as a result of, I think it's a result of that, my son is sleeping so much. And I know everyone's going to be so mad at me because they're like, "Oh my gosh, your problem is your child sleeps too much." Oh, I feel so bad for you. My child has always been a good sleeper and usually a good napper. Normally, if he's growing, he actually naps less and doesn't need to nap as less. My husband and I agree that in the winter he does nap better and sleep longer than he does in the summer. Just light wise, we live in Connecticut, so obviously in the summer there's more light longer, and it's been pretty dark up here for a few weeks. So I would anticipate that also has something to do with it. But I think that his mind is just going. There are some times where I make him watch TV because I need him to just not be trying to figure something out, not try to, use all this vocabulary, not his like brain needs a break, and the only way I can do it is that way. He likes to read a lot too. He's like, he's just trying to learn so much, and it's great that he wants to learn and everything, but like you can see he like fatigues after a while. He is taking 3 to 4 hour naps when he's with us. We had like a early dismissal the other day because of weather, and so I got to pick him up and bring him home for naps, and he almost slept for 5 hours for naps. I always have to wake him up, and I feel horrible waking him up, but he like I can't have him take like a 5 hour nap, sleep through dinner. Like I can't just wake him up for dinner and then put him in a bath and put him right back down to bed. So it's been a complicated situation. I have been in contact with a pediatrician. We do go in next week, and they are not concerned. Um, they're like, "Oh, he's probably just growing," and I'm like, "Okay, but I like not like it's a big deal, but like I measured him, and he is the exact same height he was a month ago or 2 months ago when he was at the doctor's office. So he really hasn't grown. I mean, maybe he is going to grow, and maybe that's what I need to look for, but that's pretty much where we are. I'm the parent that called the pediatrician because our child is sleeping too much. But yeah, so major problems are happening over here. The other thing is I got a few DMs on Instagram about the sugar fast. I'm going to say I am literally all over the map with this. It was my thing for many years. And I started it this year, and I looked back at what some of my triggers were and of why I ate sugar. And I think I have some deep rooted issues with eating sugar. Um, but I stopped doing the sugar fast. I think I did it, my husband and I did it for about a week, and I stopped. I journaled it for a few days, and I was finding that not having the sugar, it it wasn't helpful for me to not have the sugar. I was not, it was bringing up things that I had gotten over many years ago, or even when the first year I did the sugar fast 3 years ago, it kept bringing up those memories, and it was things that I had moved on from, forgiven people about, and it's like it made me start thinking about things that I hadn't thought about in years, and so it wasn't very helpful. And I know that Wendy Speak, who runs it, says sometimes it has to get nasty before it can get better and things like that. But I was finding that that wasn't helpful, because a lot of those things or people are no longer in my life. Um, so I don't want to think about them anymore. And I have moved on, and I am so much better in my life because those people are not a part of my life. So, and I kind of, I was talking about it with one of my friends because she's been back and forth about defriending a family member on Facebook who is saying hurtful things on Facebook, and is very passionate about their political view. And I think at this time, people and their political views, there are people that feel very strongly about political views, and feel one way or the other, and feel that the other side, there is only one side, and if you're not on that side, it's the wrong side. And I hate that feeling, and I don't want to say hate. I don't like the idea of cutting people out of your life, especially when it's family members, and every situation is unique. Um, I always try and make it work. If it's not a family member, I don't try and make it work, because those people came into my life for maybe a period of time to teach me something, and that's it. Family, it's a little different. Family, if you hold on to that hurt in the family, you're passing it on, and then people are mad over you don't know what 3 generations later because you weren't there the first time. So it's hard. Um, and staying friends with them but not seeing their profile, and that's a whole thing. It's a struggle. So I don't know. My rule of thumb is that, you know, family, family you always try with. Friends, you might have to move on, and it's hard, and it's not fun. Um, but it is what it is. So, you know, I think when you're younger, you think that, oh, I'll just be friends, and maybe these some people I'll just stop being friends with, because we'll lose touch. You don't think that you'll have like a major, I don't want to say breakup, but for lack of a better word, it is breakup. And you may have breakups with some of your regular friends. That might be a whole thing. And it's a loss of a relationship, and it's a loss of friendship and need in your life, and it's hard. It's like going through a breakup. So it's hard, but you have to also think about your family also. And I always think about my son, um, and I always want to protect my son. But so I try and really preserve family relationships. And, if I have a few friends on the outside, I have a few friends on the outside. I have a really large family. I should preface that. So, in some families, it's totally toxic, and it might not be worth it for you to um, work it out with your family. I have not been in a situation where anyone in my family has been that toxic where I could never talk to them again, or I could not work through it. Um, so I do know a lot of people who do struggle with their family, and don't always know how to react or what to do based on their children, but they always try and put their children first to keep them out of harm's way. So I don't know. You guys tell me what people should do and things like that. I don't know. I guess every situation is unique. So you do what you can. You find the people that you are friends with, and that's that. I have a group of online friends where there's one person that is at least in the next state of mine, but the rest of the people aren't even in the same time zone. And I just I those are the people I talk to. And those are the people that are my friends. I don't really see them in person, but you know what? I guess we're living in a year, and I mean like 365 a year, day a year, that you most people aren't seeing anyone. Um, so I guess it wouldn't really matter. And these are people that when we move on from all of this, that I will see in person. We already have plans to see each other. Um, I never I never realized how awesome Southwest flying was, and I haven't actually flown on them. It's just that I never thought to ever fly on them because something that always freaks me out is all the people lined up ready to get on the airplane and not having your seat and everything like that. And now I'm like, I don't care. As long as we get on the flight and my son and I can sit next to each other, I'm like, we're fine. So I guess like things like that I don't worry about, but there's so many cheap flights for me, so I don't really care anymore. But yeah. Okay. So that's another random topic. So, I ended up stopped doing the sugar fast, and part of it was that bringing up those bad memories and things like that that I